Good morning. It is a great pleasure for me to speak to you and extend a warm welcome to today's WeAreNATO conference at West University of Timisoara. I am very grateful to the organizers of this conference for inviting me to share with you some thoughts and reflections on the importance of NATO in today's security environment. For nearly 70 years, NATO has helped keep the peace in Europe by investing in defense and deterrence. It is the most successful alliance in history because we have adapted as the world has changed. This is not a luxury. It is a necessity to defend our countries, people, and values. For 40 years, from 1949 to 1989, the alliance delivered credible deterrence against the Soviet Union based on the core principle of NATO, which is one for all and all for one. Then in 1989, the Berlin Wall came down, the Cold War ended, and NATO adapted to the new international security environment. Between 1989 and 2014, for the first time in our history, we went beyond our borders. During these 25 years, NATO did what we called crisis management, helping end 2 wars in the Balkans and fight piracy off the Horn of Africa. And later on, in response to a terrorist attack on the United States on 9/11, we launched our biggest military operation ever in Afghanistan. This was the first and only time we have invoked what we call Article 5, the collective defense clause of our founding treaty, the Washington Treaty, which says that an attack on one ally shall be considered an attack on all allies. 2014 was a pivotal year in the history of NATO because 2 very serious but very different things happened. The first was the illegal annexation of Crimea, which was the first time since the Second World War when borders were changed in Europe by the use of force. The second was the rise of ISIL-Daesh. By mid-2014, Daesh controlled territory close to NATO borders in Iraq and Syria, with a population of almost 8 million people. NATO proved again that we are able to adapt. We have significantly enhanced our defense and deterrence. Since 2014, we have implemented the biggest reinforcement of our collective defense since the end of the Cold War in response to a changed security environment. NATO's 4 multinational battle groups in Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Poland are now fully operational. We are also making progress in strengthening our presence in the Black Sea. Our response has been defensive, proportionate, and in line with our international commitments. NATO's forward presence sends a clear and strong message that if there is any incursion into NATO territory, NATO will be there and will respond immediately. We have increased the readiness of our forces, tripling the size of what we call the NATO Response Force. This is a force of around 40,000 troops, which we can deploy on very short notice. And we have seen, for the first time in many years, that defense spending is increasing. This includes Romania, which has committed to spending 2% of GDP on defense. NATO is also trying to project stability beyond its borders. When our neighbors are more stable, we are more secure. The other element of our adaptation is that we have decided to do more in the fight against terrorism, where NATO has played a key role for many years. NATO is a member of the global coalition to defeat ISIS-Daesh. We are contributing to the global coalition with AWACS surveillance flights. We have ended combat missions in Afghanistan, and we are training, advising, and assisting Afghan forces who are now responsible for the security in their own country. We aim to do the same in Iraq, and we are now in the process of planning to establish a NATO training mission to train the Iraqi forces and to build security institutions. NATO is strong because we have proven able to adapt, and Romania has made many important contributions to the continued success of the alliance. Since joining 14 years ago, Romania's commitment to NATO has been steadfast. Romania contributes to our collective security in Europe as a host nation for NATO's multinational brigade in Craiova, under Multinational Division Headquarters Southeast, as a host nation for a ballistic missile defense site, and as a troop-contributing nation to the multinational battle group in Poland. Romania helps NATO project stability in the East, in Moldova, Ukraine, and Georgia, and helps ensure that the Western Balkans remain stable by contributing to the NATO force in Kosovo. And Romania makes a key contribution to fighting terrorism to the south with your presence in Afghanistan and Iraq. So in this tumultuous time, NATO is more important than ever, because individual nations alone cannot solve these complex interconnected challenges. It is important to remember that over the course of its 69 years existence, NATO has grown from 12 to 29 members. Our strength comes from the unity of all 29 nations. By standing together, sharing our expertise and capabilities, NATO can rise to any challenge and keep our nations safe. Also key to the continued success of NATO is for our citizens to understand the crucial role that NATO plays in their security and prosperity, in protecting their freedom and the values that allied nations share. That's why conferences like this one are so important, because they provide an opportunity for us to have a conversation with you, the leaders of tomorrow, about NATO. I hope that today you will find out more about how NATO guarantees our freedom and security every day, and that you will learn from the excellent speakers who will address you. But I hope also that this conference provides a two-way street so that we may learn from you as well. So I would like to end my address by encouraging you to share your thoughts about NATO, ask questions, and continue engaging with NATO after the conference is over, through future conferences and via social media. I hope you enjoy a fruitful discussion, and I wish you a successful and pleasant day. Thank you.